When the Founding Fathers and Patriots began pushing back on the tyrannical policies of Parliament and King George, they started with a simple boycott, strategically targeting the tea only. The Patriots let Britain know they went too far with the tea, and their efforts were very effective. In their arrogance, the Redcoats never believed this band of unorganized, untrained, and undersupplied misfits could ever be an issue, let alone victorious. But the Patriots' will to secure liberty was too great, knowing victory ensured freedom, while defeat established essentially slavery of all. I think we are seeing the same grit, that same spirit, and that same ambition in today's patriots. And if the past proves anything, we're about to win. Rosie the Riveter here, dropping more truth bombs to destroy fake news and propaganda. Help share my content with others by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell as well to get new videos when they are uploaded. Now, let's get into today's riveting topic. For years, actually decades, we have seen liberal Hollywood, social media, and mainstream media cancel anyone who makes even one comment that contradicts their agenda. I remember first hearing about this cancel culture phenomenon while listening to the late, great Maharishi Rush Limbaugh 30 years ago.
Because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than any of you about anything. And these ribbons say so. I want you people sitting at home and you people in the audience, look down at your lapel right now. I want you to do this. Put the camera back on me. Do this. When you look down, what do you see? You don't see anything because you're not wearing any ribbons. It means you're a bigot. It means you're a racist. It means you're a sexist. It means you're a homophobe. It probably means you're a white guy. It probably means you're a European. And you alone are responsible for all the ills of America. But I'm not, because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than you.
So, of course, they set their sights on canceling Rush. An organized campaign began, hoping to take Rush down as his audience, popularity, and influence grew in the 1990s. Callers would make the air, claiming they were conservatives, but just didn't agree with this Republican or that policy, hoping to persuade his genuine listeners. Rush quickly realized these particular people were not authentic. Just as quickly, listeners saw through the ruse too, earning these fake conservatives the nickname seminar callers. Attacking him directly was not getting anywhere. So, in 2014, a Twitter campaign was started after Rush dared to criticize leftist abortion activist Sandra Fluke. Critics flooded the Twitter accounts of Rush's advertisers, hoping to apply so much pressure on those companies that they would withdraw their commercials and ultimately their dollars from Rush. Not one to be pushed around, Rush's people investigated and uncovered the amazing truth. In an eye-opening statement by the Rush Limbaugh Show spokesperson, Brian Glitlick revealed the heart of the movement. The so-called grassroots group of ordinary consumers opposing Rush were actually anything but. They were in fact a tiny group of organized people. Of the thousands of tweets sent to companies, almost 70% were sent by a group of 10. Yes, 10 people using illicit software, supposedly breaking Twitter policy, allowing them to flood accounts. Out-of-state activists received target lists, which they used to harass small businesses they were never going to solicit anyway, until they pulled their advertising from Rush. So, deal with the harassment and resulting loss of clientele, or lose their potential customer reach to Rush listeners. Either way, their businesses suffered, and the activists could care less. Bryan stated, "It's not even activism, it's blackmail." Angela Caruso, the organizer of the 10 Twitter users pushing the Stop Rush campaign, was the EVP of Media Matters, a left-wing organization that targets conservatives and is highly funded by, say it with me, patriots, George Soros. But this was not Caruso's first rodeo. Several years earlier, he was behind the efforts to take down Glenn Beck, Fox News, as well as a previous Limbaugh attack, with leaders of that boycott bragging about their connections to the Obama campaign. Leftists realized going after the individual they didn't like directly wasn't working. The boycotts didn't affect those already not following them, and supporters were rarely swayed. So the left decided to go after the advertisers, put pressure on them to pull their advertising dollars, which would truly harm and affect their targets, forcing them to change or be canceled. This is called a secondary boycott. Attack the secondary entities to force change on their primary target. Once a boycott was put in motion, the media and other leftist organizations pushed it and pushed it hard. Even Democrats weighed in on occasion. During these secondary boycotts, reports surfaced that more and more advertisers were pulling their support from the targeted conservatives. The left celebrated, claiming victory. The truth is, many of those advertisers weren't advertising with Rush or others such as Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck anyway. So it wasn't lost revenue or support, as they were never advertisers in the first place. You can't lose what you didn't have to begin with. But the left didn't care. It was the narrative they needed to manipulate public thinking and other advertisers. And that's what they promoted. Thank goodness, Rush's team dug in and was able to get to the bottom of the boycotts and expose who was really behind them. But it didn't stop them. Unlike companies and individuals today who fall at the first sign of pushback from the left, Rush refused to capitulate despite the left trying to paint that picture. As a result, Rush not only survived the attempted cancellation, he came out stronger. The left thought they could take Rush down because they still believed they canceled Glenn Beck in 2011. That assault began in July of 2009 after Glenn stated he thought then President Barack Obama was a racist, which is what they call everybody they disagree with from the left. When he finally left Fox News 2 years later, they joyously claimed victory. However, seeing the future was the internet, Glenn had already started planning his web-based platform before the boycott even began, and the left is willfully blind to the evidence of that. Let me prove it. Glenn announced he was leaving Fox News in the spring of 2011. By June, reports of GBTV were already making the news, launching in September. I've heard him mention that it took him over a year just to negotiate and purchase the building, giving him a 9-month time frame to renovate before launch. He would have started negotiating for the building in, say, January of 2010. Knowing how long plans like these take will give him 4 months just to look for the building. That's September of 2009. Let's give him another 6 months just to get the plans organized, and that's really pushing it for such a project. And you're talking March of 2009, a full 3 months before his statement on Obama. Now, I know I may not have all those dates exact, but I have been involved in projects like this, and starting a new news organization would take years. Fox is not going to let him stick around after firing him for that long. However, propaganda is still believed by a large population that Fox fired him. Ask anyone you know who follows the mainstream media. They'll say Glenn was fired because the media still says Glenn was fired. It's mind-boggling anyone still believes what the media tells us about conservatives. It has been proven again and again that they lie, manipulate, and spread misinformation about everything. Like Rush, Glenn only became stronger, blazing the path for the new internet age for news organizations, leaving cable and the mainstream media behind. They refused to let cancel culture dictate who they were, and their listeners supported them for it. Why? Because they were giving a silent majority a voice. Americans were tolerant of the L's and the G's and the B's. In fact, nobody really cared about the T's either. Live and let live. That is, until they pushed too far with the T and their grooming of our children was exposed. We asked them to stop. We told them to stop. But they laughed at us and pushed even harder until patriots said enough and held their own tea party, 2023 style. Trying to redirect the damage to Target, USA Today published an article insinuating Target removed their pride displays from the front of their stores because of threats coming from right-wing extremists. Surprise, surprise, it was a lie. Oh, there were threats, but they were coming from inside the pride movement itself by individuals furious Target capitulated. USA Today's assertions were pure propaganda. But when all else fails, name call. After years of enduring boycotts from the left, did you know that boycotting is now domestic terrorism? Just like the parents speaking out at school board and city council meetings are domestic terrorists, and those protesting the election on January 6th, even those that weren't even at the Capitol, are domestic terrorists. Is anyone seeing a pattern here, or is it just me? Do you want definitive proof this is all Marxist propaganda from the left? While having a tantrum over Bud Light, Target, and Disney boycotts, they continued targeting opponents to the Pride alphabet, and I don't see anyone in the media or Congress labeling them domestic terrorists. The left also tried boycotting Christian companies such as Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A, but conservatives rallied behind these companies in a big way as well, making them even stronger. But turn the tables and the left loses their mind, especially since the boycotts on Bud Light and Target and the others are making a huge impact. Is there any better evidence as to who is truly in the majority in this country? And why are we still believing those who say otherwise? Conservatives have been called white supremacists, white nationalists, racists, bigots, rednecks, domestic terrorists, homophobes, transphobes, Nazis, and their most recent Christian nationalists. For so long, the words have no meaning anymore. Leftists cannot combat conservatives on ideology, so they always resort to their Marxist playbook and use name-calling. But conservatives don't care anymore. All of these names, they're a badge of honor now, because what we truly care about is our children, what is godly and moral, and what is true. Family, faith, and facts. Not necessarily in that order. In case you haven't noticed, patriots, we are at war. And it's not a physical, bloodshed war yet, but it is a war nonetheless, being waged in our hearts and our minds on the media battlefields. And you know how to win? Turn the media off. Break the cycle and free your mind.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
I'm Rosie the Riveter, and that's my 2 cents. But what do you think? Leave your comments down below. If you enjoy my content, please consider supporting my work on Patreon. You can find all my videos and my blog, Liberating Letters, at thefactspaper.com. You can also start your own research on the Facts Paper by exploring the thousands of links to articles I have, including those noted in my videos, sharing the truth fake news propagandists won't. Investigate and discover the truth for yourself.